Halloween
Forever.
Steve, did you hear about that that new dating site that they're starting that's just I mean, you've heard about like farmersonly.com and you know, and plumbersfindlove.org and all that shit. They're starting one that's just for people with mommy and daddy issues. Did you hear about that?
No.
It's called Oedipal Arrangements.
Oh God.
Welcome, boys and girls, to a fucking Minisode. Halloween is forever. I'm Brian.
I got a joke too. You just
yeah. That was a good joke though. Don't give me no. That was pretty good.
I don't want to take away. I don't want to take away because that one actually tickled me. But when you said about the plumbers only website, I was like, well, what about the gay plumbers who like docking? They go to pipemeat.com.
That's good. That's good. Big fish, little fish. You know how I love it.
Yep.
You know, Steve, how I love sticking things in my urethra. I mean, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Guys, here we are for the very last Minisode of July. We got an extra little Monday in July. So this is the 31st when this thing comes out. So this is the last Minisode before our August Showdown episode. So we are going to talk a little bit about what that's going to entail. And we've got some movie picks, or in this instance, specific scenes within movies. We'll talk about that in a hot damn sec. And also, we got some other fun things to talk about here. So let me get in front of myself. Don't rush me, guys. I didn't even get a beer in my bloodstream yet. Hold on. Let's do that first. Let's talk about those beers. What do you got? I'm chugging one down, and I got one on deck. What do you got, Steve?
I'm back to nut beer.
What are you drinking?
It's cider, and then it's also goof-ass cider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rules.
Yeah. What is it? Toasted marshmallows and gummy bears. Fucking s'more cider.
No, this is a little more mature. It is from Reverend Nat's Portland style hard cider.
Okay.
Out of that there, Portland, Oregon.
What does Portland style entail? It wears a beanie all year round or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it vapes. Yep.
It does a lot of vaping.
But this is their Flashbang Cherry.
Mm-hmm. And
it is a dead stock cold brew coffee blended with sacrilege sour cherry and a hint of chili.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds kind of interesting. What kind of cherry did you say?
It's just like their sacrilege sour cherry. So it's just like,
that's another product of theirs. Some
I assume.
Sour cherry. It's not like a varietal of cherry. It's not like Montmorency cherries or something.
Right. Yeah, I assume the cherries they use are just like Washington cherries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and it's pretty nice on the ingredients. It simply goes apple juice, cherry juice, coffee, yeast, spices, ghost chili pepper extract.
So they went hard with it.
But they didn't. I think they just eyedroppered the ghost pepper into it because
it's interesting. You think ghost pepper, you immediately think like this is going to melt my dick off.
Right. But it is so super tame. The only thing I get is like a couple seconds, after is just like the top of my mouth is just, there's a little burning hint.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's after the aftertaste is faded and everything, after the coffee clears the palate, there's just a little bit of heat on the roof of your mouth.
Little tingle.
Yeah. But it's pretty good. It's not, I don't know. The cherry flavor is a little bit lost because it's more dominated by cold brew coffee.
Yeah, those are some aggressive flavors in there. Ooh, it's got a dramatic color to it too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think
I love when I see it, and then you hold it up, and then it's just clear. It looks like water because of the background. Yeah, it's pretty dramatic colored some bitch over there.
Yeah, I think I would much more enjoy just a line of coffee ciders now that I think about it.
Oh,
but
yeah, I could get down with that. I have an apple tree out back, which I've made assorted apple products from, but I have not made cider from. And I was thinking about this year, trying to find somebody I can borrow a little home cider press off of. and actually making my. I've fermented cider before, but not from my own apples. I was thinking about doing that, but they're like small some sort of little English cider apples, so they might work, quite nicely. But I do fuck with some cider, and guys, it is almost August, which means it's almost fall, which means it's fucking cider season. I mean, I saw you posted some pictures. There's already fucking pumpkin ales all over the shelves. I'm gonna be jamming those this weekend.
I had a fucking day. I went to Vintage Estates.
Yeah.
And so that's where the cider comes from. And then I saw pumpkin ales there. And then I also picked up the new cherry smoked Schlenkerla product.
Oh yeah, I saw some pickies.
Yeah. So nice. I had a day the other day.
Yeah, you just
what
went
are you
off,
drinking?
Didn't you? I'm going a little off the walls here too, going into the old cellar here.
Ooh.
I've got a bottle of Tilken Goose. This is their Mirabelle Tilken rather, which is their uses Mirabelle plums. So they do different fruited lambic style beers, and this is a bottle of 2020 Mirabelle, which is, like I said, their plum goose. So it is fucking intense. I love Tilken. It's like,
yeah, I was gonna say, is it still intense after 2 years? And you were saying yes, so yeah.
It is. Well, Tilken definitely goes. A lot of these, like, traditional, for those of you who are fans of lambic style beers, Tilken, Dryfonteinen, a lot of these like traditional lambic style breweries have their own very distinct house character, especially when it comes to their gooses, because it's blended and they're trying to achieve that specific house character. And Tilken, especially with some age on it, they can go real bready, real funky. And this one is definitely no exception. And plum is like relatively delicate compared to some of the other ones they do.
Yeah.
So the plum is coming across like extra tart and tannic, but it is Brett bomb. It is like compost, sweaty horse blanket, hamster cage, the whole 9 yards. Not aggressively sour, but it's got that like intense, like almost perfumey phenolic character to it. It's really a lot more delicate than I thought it was going to be, because a lot of times a lot of plum gooses and plum sour beers are like really aggressively sour. But yeah, no, it's pretty well balanced. It's definitely, plenty tart, but it is just a real funky bready sumbitch. But it's really nice. I'm getting back into the sour beers lately.
I gotta try that. I've rarely found like a plum beer that, like, and most of the ones I've had are not like produced in Europe and anything like that. Like it's just like some jackass threw plums in a fucking IPA or whatever. Right. And I'm just like, I don't get no plums on this. I don't know what we're doing. Plum is
tough. Plum's a tough fruit to brew with. This actually I think probably came from Vintage, if I was going to guess. I'm not 100% sure. It's been in the cellar for at least a couple of years. But thought it's a little bottle. Crack it. I got some big bottles. I need next time you're over here, we'll have to crack a couple of them big bottles I don't want to drink on my own, because I've been getting into them lambics, drinking that cellar. Yeah, guys. All right. So we got some stuff to do here. But before we do that, I want to remind yins, if you want to help us choose these topics for our showdown episodes, or just give us some suggestions for some Minisode topics, if you just want to see some dang old spooky ooky horse shit on the intranets, or if you just want to say, hey guys, what's up? Well, I like the show, or just like, hey, here's a fucking dumb movie you should watch. Follow us on the social medias at Halloween is Forever on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all that types of shit. I got an important question though. Do shit still be tight over on the threads?
Oh, shit still be tight. Shit still be popping. And we're just about past. We're really close to past what our Twitter following is.
Oh, nice.
So like I'm to the point where as soon as they have like a good functionality update the threads and like add polls and add some other things to it, I'm off Twitter. Like,
fuck Twitter. Fuck that shit. Yeah. I heard they were going to officially rebrand it as X. Yeah. But it hasn't happened as far as I know yet.
Like they have the X logo on certain things, but also it still says Twitter. It's just like, ugh. Like this
seems so half-assed. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's so half-assed. It's such a lazy rollout. Like the logo, people discovered the X in X is just like a universal Unicode that can't be copyrighted or anything because it's on every computer. It's just like, what is this site? What does this site become? It's become like have the dumbest, most racist people pay to be first, and then just like terrible takes on everything. It's all trash. I'm like, I went off the ride.
It is just dregs. It really, truly is just dregs at this point. I do want to say this is completely apropos to nothing we're talking about, except for something Steve and I were talking about before we started recording. I have on in the background here, I'm watching for the first time the finishing up what I started last night, which is watching Creepshow 3. And a scene just happened that is so fucking stupid. I can't believe it exists. There was a scene with a guy who was just literally wearing like a mask from like the Halloween store, I'm pretty sure, and it was supposed to be like a fucking, I don't know, demon or something. This movie sucks. We should do that sometimes. We should talk about how fucking bad Creepshow 3 is. Anyway,
I mean, it could be a punishment film if you win.
Yeah, it's I think it's that echelon. But yeah, guys, follow us on the social medias and do all those types of things if you want to, see how tight shit be doing over on the threads. Also, if you want to email us, we actually had a couple folks email us in recent weeks here about some various things and stuff. You know how much I like things and stuff. It's HalloweenIsForeverPod@gmail.com. Also, pretty damn soon, meaning like by the time this comes out, we will have released our first episode of our Patreon exclusive new podcast. Steve, tell them about this damn horse shit you're making me do. I watched the first movie. It was fucking terrible. We're about to record the first episode of this bullshit here. Tell them what's popping off on the Patreons.
Well, look, you come over to patreon.com. That's /HalloweenIsForever. Real easy to find. It's also on our link tree. It's everywhere. You can get there. You find it. You sign up. $3 tier. You're gonna guarantee yourself ad-free episodes. You get a little bit of bonus content here and there. That's all right.
That's the Now, is that the Rascal tier?
No, it's a Scamp tier.
That's the Scamp tier.
That's a Scamp tier.
Yeah.
The Rascals.
That's a Scamp tier.
That's a Scamp tier. The Wascals. You go on the Wascals, you pay $5, you become a Wascal.
Yeah.
The Rascals, they get Family Is Forever, the monthly exclusive podcast where Brian and I will go entirely through the Fast and the Furious verse, all 10, 11, 12 movies, however many there are.
I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it.
Brian don't like it.
No. Nope.
But we have recorded... at the time you're listening to this, we have recorded and released the first episode of this. So jump on now and you can follow along every month. But then also you get other fun things like you get to come on our Discord and you can chat with us and we'll do watch along sometimes, or you can chat with us while we record episodes. You can be the first to technically hear an episode because you'll be watching it happen live.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can chat with us, and if you have something fun to say, we'll, maybe bring it up.
Yeah. I'll show you my tits.
Yeah. You can see Brian's tits, or you can see his boo bucket.
That's true. You can see my various boo buckets. One of them fell down. One of them fell down. One of my masks fell down too. It's hot as fuck in this room, so I have the ceiling fan on, and it knocks my shit off the wall. In any case, guys, I want to reiterate, I don't like this. I'm not enjoying it. We just did the first. We're about to record the first episode. I watched the first Fast and the Furious movie. It's the only one I've seen in the franchise, but it's been about 20 years. That movie fucking sucked. It was so stupid. I am excited to talk about how fucking stupid it is, but I just want to reiterate that not like this. No amount of money is worth this, and you can keep your $5 to stick it up your ass. But if you want to, you can pay to hear us do this because we have committed to doing it, and I am a glutton for punishment, so we're gonna fucking do it. So Family Is Forever. Go over to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever and give us paper monies, and you can listen to me. I don't know, probably lay in traffic at some point. I will literally go to a street race and lay down in traffic. That being said, a couple other things we got to do. As I mentioned, we got a Showdown episode next week. For those of you who don't know what a Showdown episode is, because you never listened to the podcast before, where the fuck you been? We've been doing this for over 2 years at this point. Get your shit together. Get your fucking life together. Go over to patreon.com. Give us money. It's the only way you can make up for being such a shithead and not listening to podcasts up until this point. But now that you're here, here's how it works. We boost spooky ooky shit on the internet. We put out that sweet, savory, umami bomb of a content every fucking Monday. And the first Monday of the month, we do what's called a Showdown episode where we get a guest on the podcast. We pick a topic that comes from a whole bunch of topics on this big old spinning wheel that we draw from. We get 3 of them. We throw them on the social medias. Our social media friends and listeners vote. Then we get that topic. Once we have the topic, me, Steve, the guest, each pick a movie or a TV episode or whatever the hell that topic is. We pick our thing associated with that topic. And then during the Showdown episode, here's what we do. We hang the belt from a hook, from a chain right in the middle of the ring. We argue about it. Somebody tries to climb the ladder to get the belt, get shoved off. I like to think of myself as the Razor Ramon of this scenario. Maybe Steve's Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. The guest is the referee. I don't fucking know. But ultimately, somebody grabs that son of a bitch and strap, takes it home for that month. Not coincidentally, your boy's the fucking champ right now. So that means a couple of things. To the victor go the spoils, as I always say. I get to decide the order in which we announce our topics, our picks for this next Showdown episode. That's one of the things I get to do, and that's what we're going to do right this damn old second. First of all, did we talk about on the last episode who our guest is going to be for August?
No, we hadn't talked about our guest yet, so we can announce that. Our guest for August is going to be Anthony Del Vecchio of They Called This a Movie Podcast.
Anthony Big Tone Dog, I think he goes by. That's what people like to call him. Absolutely. Big Tone Dog. He loves that.
He loves it. But he was on our Halloween Ends episode. So he's coming back and he's taking a shot at the belt. And I'll announce
what ballsy son of a bitch.
I'll announce what his pick is as well. Because I don't think either of us would have picked it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, let me talk about what the topic is. Usually, it's like a movie genre or something like that. Actually, last month it was Nickelodeon Halloween, which was fun. We had Louis from the Haunted Hangover podcast on, and we each picked episodes from. They were all episodes from Nickelodeon TV shows. This is a little unique in that the topic that got selected by our social media friends was. Great scenes or good scenes in bad movies, right? So a movie that is objectively bad or panned or people don't like or rated poorly, right? That was kind of a little bit of the ambiguity around it. We said like, okay, if it has like a bad Metacritic score, bad Rotten Tomatoes score, or like was a bomb at the box office or some combination of those things, objectively a bad movie, at least in most people's eyes, but has a really great scene in it. We're going to talk about that specific scene. We're going to watch the whole movies just to give us some, context and that sort of thing. But this is the first time we've done a Showdown topic that is about a particular scene, which I think is going to be fun. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's part of the Showdown is you have to like kind of provide the bona fides of why you're watching, doo-doo. Like you have to prove why it's bad and then, present your scene as why that scene also rules. So.
So I don't have one singular one. I have 3 that I'm prepared to pick from. 2 are like really probably what I'm going to pick from. One's like a dark horse that if like the mood strikes me, perhaps I might pick. But I think I'm going to take a little different approach here because I don't have one that I'm like desperate to snag. So I'm going to say, Steve, I want you to go ahead and you can announce our guests first. Because I think that will be, he's obviously not here to pivot either. And you know what it is. So you obviously haven't picked that. So it really doesn't matter. But you tell us what his are. Then you pick and then I'll bring up the rear.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting tactic.
But be a little backdoor boy.
Okay.
That's what I like to call it.
So our guest, Anthony, he has decided to go with he wants to focus on the Father's Day story in the anthology film Holidays.
Okay.
So he didn't. He can probably narrow it down more to a scene when we get into the episode. But he was definitely adamant about like it's in the Father's Day section. I haven't seen that movie, so I don't exactly maybe. Like, I don't know how long that scene is or that section is. Maybe it is just a scene, kind of like the how some of the ABCs of Death films, some of those anthologies, like some of those films in that anthology were like, you know, super short and other ones were, you know, longer. So I don't know. Yeah. But that's what he wants to focus on. And I didn't think either of us were going to pick that because I don't know Holidays and you've never spoken about it. So.
No, I feel like I've seen it, but it is definitely one of those ones that, okay, so is it, which Holidays is this the 2016? That's
why I imagined the one that, like, I guess Kevin Smith has a segment on as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's
I have not seen this one.
Okay. Yeah.
No, yes, I have, because this is the one with the creepy ass. Yeah, you've seen it too, because we talked about this. The one with the creepy rabbit for the Easter one. That's like, you know, is like he's like a creepy rabbit head with a human body, and he's got like the wound in his side, like Jesus and all that. You remember that?
No,
we've maybe you haven't seen it, but we've talked about it on the show briefly.
Maybe
around Easter time.
Yeah, maybe we talked about it. I don't remember it.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember the Father's Day one either, but I do remember that is kind of a fun little movie. So, all right, the Father's Day section in Holidays. So that from 2016. All right. So that's Anthony's. What are you going to go with there?
So I just want to preface that I had a hard time with this actually.
Weird.
I'm not going to do anything weird. I just want to preface that I had a hard time with this and that I actually took myself down some dark roads, and those dark roads actually led me to a punishment film.
Okay. That you put in the back pocket?
Yeah. So like I found a film that like I think was wiped from the collective conscience in my search for a good scene. But now I have like a super weapon in my back pocket. So just be aware of that.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
But kind of like you, I had more than one choice, but I had one I was pretty desperate to get, but I'm glad you gave it to me, so I'm going to take it.
Okay.
Maximum Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that movie, by the way.
So do I.
Yeah. Stephen King's one and only directorial feature.
Yeah. Look, I love that movie. I loved it growing up. I rewatched it. It is a piece of shit.
I mean, it's bad, but it's really fun.
Yeah, it's fundamentally bad, but it's really fun. And then, so the scene I'm going to pick is probably like the penultimate scene before they make, you know, if you've seen the film, you know, like at the end, everybody who's trapped in a diner by these trucks possessed by aliens behind a comet. It's the fucking craziest shit in the world, but
got the green, one of them's got the Green Goblin on the front.
Yeah. And so like the final scene is they blow up the Green Goblin truck and they escape. I'm doing the scene right before that, which is where the trucks go absolutely apeshit and destroy everything around them. And it fucking rules so hard. It is basically a monster truck fucking destruction derby. It is awesome. There's no better scene. And this is a movie that's full of these scenes. Like I actually had a hard time because there's like a scene where a steamroller runs over a kid. And I was like, that's kind of hard. That goes pretty hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes that go pretty hard in this. First of all, you get an Emilio Estevez, which everyone loves an Emilio Estevez. And also, this is the scene that famously Stephen King has made comments, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he like barely remembers the shooting of this because he was so just in such a coke delirium that he barely remembers like what happened during this movie. And it is absolutely fucking bonkers. It's really fun. I personally, this is not exciting at all, but I have a real fun time with the scene where the trucks are like forcing them to refuel them up. I always thought that was really funny.
It's such a bizarre montage, but also, and the other thing is like
it's kind of like we're having fun, like we're working at the car wash or something. Except for,
it's a we're working at the car wash type scene, and that's partially aided by the fact that all of the music in this film is AC/DC.
Oh yeah. They were the soundtrack.
Yeah. The entire soundtrack is AC/DC, which is again coked up Stephen King. Like, I'm going to make my entire soundtrack AC/DC.
Yeah, he was like, he was just on a fucking rager. This movie. So I like this movie. I understand that it like was a box office bomb and was like panned, and even Stephen King himself was like, I think still probably to this day is like embarrassed of the movie, which is it's fun, it's fucking bonkers, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one though. I like that. Okay, boy, those are two very different movies, and I have two here that I'm going to choose from that are very different as well. Shit. I am torn. I almost want to flip a coin here. I am going to pick, because I haven't picked it in a long time. I'll tell you the one I was going to pick. All right.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pick this. I was going to pick, and this is a little too on brand, and I want to switch it up. I was going to pick a little flick from the year of our Lord, 1989, called Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Hear me out. That movie's dog shit. Like, it is considered to be like the worst movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
But the scene where Jamie gets stuck in the laundry chute and Michael is stabbing into the laundry chute is fucking awesome. It's awesome. But that's not what I'm going to pick.
Okay.
I am going to go out of left field here. I'm just feeling just cocky, right? I've just been carrying this belt around for 5 weeks. I'm going with a movie from 2008.
Ooh.
From a little director named M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh.
I'm going to pick The Happening.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to pick the scene in Central Park, the first scene in Central Park.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
you know
I know. Yeah.
Okay. So for people who's never seen this movie, there's a couple scenes in this movie. So this scene this movie is known for being notoriously bad. I watched this in the theaters. I went and paid money for this theater. I actually was on a date.
I'm sorry.
When I went on a date. This girl, we dated briefly. All right. So
obviously, you took her to see The Happening.
She did not like it. She did not like it. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I remember going like, oh, that was kind of fun. All right, that was kind of fun. She was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like I said, didn't work out, didn't pan out. But people hate this movie. Stars Mr. Marky Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel in very weird performances, but there are a couple really effective scenes in this movie, and that particular one
does not have Mark Wahlberg in it.
It doesn't have either of those people in it, I don't believe, which is great. So that's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick The Happening 2008, the Central Park scene early in the movie. And if you haven't seen it before, watch it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, all right. Once again, here's our bad movies with good scenes. I'm going with The Happening 2008, specifically the Central Park scene early in the movie. Steve's going Maximum Overdrive, trucks wiling out, and then towards the end of the movie. And then Anthony, who's going to be our guest from They Call This a Movie, is going to do the Father's Day scene from Holidays 2016. Holy shit, that is a diverse list there. So I'm excited about that. I don't know what year's Maximum Overdrive, like 87 or something like that.
Yeah, it's 86, 87. It's funny because like I had already decided on the pick, and then like I guess it was released like last week, like 20, 30 years whatever ago. It was
20. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So it was like an anniversary last week for that film, and people were posting all about it, and I was like, this is a sign.
I don't know why, but maybe sometime in the last year or two, I was at my parents' house for some reason, and we were there for whatever. And Maximum Overdrive was on TV, and I sat there and watched Maximum Overdrive with my dad. He was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "Shut your goddamn mouth! You sit and you watch it." And
shut up, boomer.
He did. He thoroughly enjoyed it. So, all right, guys. So that's going to be our showdown episode for next month.
Before we move on, do you want to hear what my on-brand pick was going to be?
Yeah.
That my backup was going to be the sleeping bag scene in Jason X.
Sleeping bag scene?
In Jason X, remember?
Why can't I remember the sleeping bag scene? Oh, is that the one that they just redid? They just kind of redid the sleep. No, I'm trying to remember.
More or less. Yeah, so it's Jason X, they're on the ship, and they bring up the holographic Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the two girls who are like, do you want to do drugs and premarital
sex?
Yeah. And then it's a hard cut to him just smashing
them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously an homage to which one did he do the sleeping bag in? That wasn't part 6. Which one was the one they did that?
Isn't it, I feel like that's like 2 or 3, isn't it? I think it's
no. 2's Sackhead Jason, and 3 is like
that's 3D.
Weird shoulder neck Jason.
It must be 4 then. Must be 4.
It might be 4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, I can't. Maybe 5.
That's a very famous scene in the franchise. Yeah, it's either. I don't even think it's 4. I think it's 5 or 6. It's not 6 because 6 is Anyway, yeah. I'll tell you what my other one was as well. This movie sucks so hard. Honestly, the reason I didn't pick it is like it's cool, the scene's cool, but the movie's so unbearable. It is. Have you ever seen Cursed from 2005?
Is it a werewolf?
Yes, it's the werewolf movie that was. Oh my God! Why am I blanking on his name? Wes Craven. So Wes Craven directed it. Famously, it was a Miramax film, and famously the Weinsteins gutted this fucking movie. They made him do literally 3 rounds of reshoots, and then they butchered it in the cutting room, and then ended up releasing it as PG-13. A Wes Craven movie as PG-13.
That's right. Yeah, it came out PG-13.
And the movie's fucking horrible. But there's one really cool scene where one character is being stalked in a parking garage by a werewolf, and it's the only time they actually kept some of the practical effects in there. And there's one particular part of that scene where she's stuck in an elevator that's between floors, and it's really cool. The rest of the movie is absolute giant, just fucking horse doo-doo,
just turds.
Yeah, but yeah, I wasn't going Harvey. I wasn't doing another Weinstein fucking movie. We've seen how those perform in the showdowns in the past. So, all right, now we got that out of the way. We got the beers out of the way. Let's get into this movie. We're going to talk about a movie, kind of an off-the-wall pick here. This is one I've been meaning to watch. It came up on Shudder, and people have been talking about it, and I've never even heard of it until just in the last few, maybe 2 weeks max, when it's come up on Shudder, and people started talking about how bonkers this movie is. I think, this is my speculation, not knowing a tremendous amount about it, this is the type of movie that really suffers from the old shitty title syndrome that we've talked about so often. It's called Death Game, which is not a bad title. It's just so vanilla. I mean, there's 100 movies that sound so much like that. It is from 1977, and it is a Grindhouse release. So you're getting into some bonkers ass shit. It is also as far as I know, a pretty unknown director, a guy named Peter S. Traynor, who has 2 directing credits. He directed another movie in 85 called Evil Town, which has a pretty sick cover. I'm not going to lie, and I'm probably going to watch it. And then he produced a couple other things, and I've literally not heard of any of them. So, certainly not a very storied career. And, there's a couple... like there's a couple people that you maybe possibly would know in it, but it's like a pretty under the radar flick, and I'm excited to talk about it because it's weird as fuck.
Yeah, even Traynor's other films that he produced, like all the titles are so in that realm of like just bland throwing something into a theater that you imagine it just goes right into a smoky theater. It doesn't like there's no editing. It just appears in a smoky theater. But like it's like Black Fist, The Ultimate Thrill, Truck Stop Women, Steel Arena. Like none of that makes none of that pops, but it just goes on the marquee.
It's literally like as soon as he makes it, the reel, like the can that the reel goes into is sticky already. So it's very small cast. There's two people in it that you might notice or you might know. Sandra Locke, you probably would recognize. She's been in quite a few things. She's acted in like 30 movies. She's directed apparently as well, which I didn't realize. But she is in Every Which Way But Loose, Sudden Impact, which is obviously a Dirty Harry flick. Was that the first Dirty Harry movie, or was the first Dirty Harry movie called Dirty Harry?
No, I think Sudden Impact is first.
Yeah, I thought so too. I'm not a huge Clint Eastwood guy once he gets out of the Western genre. Speaking of the Western genre, she's also in The Outlaw Josie Wales. So she's a pretty recognizable face from specifically like 70s and early 80s movies. And then you also have the other kind of antagonist here is Colleen Camp, which I recognized her name, but I couldn't kind of place her in anything. But she is and I was like, I know who she is. I've seen her in things. And then I remembered she is Yvette, the maid in Clue. That's what I knew her from.
Yeah.
But she's also in Wayne's World. She plays like a smaller thing in Wayne's World. She's in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Like she's got a really lengthy career. She's been in 158 credits on IMDb. Is in things as recently as last year. So she's got a really, really long history, and like I said, is in a ton of things. They are kind of the antagonists in the movie. They play Jackson, which is apparently her last name. She's credited the character in here in IMDb is Agatha Jackson, but she just goes by Jackson in the movie. And then Donna, and then the other character, which is pretty much the three that are in 99% of the movie, is George, played by Seymour Castle, who you'll know from a bunch of things. He the first thing that I remembered him in is he's Sam Catchem in Dick Tracy. So if you're a Dick Tracy fan like I am, you'll like it. He's also in Life Aquatic. He's in Rushmore. He has 219 credits on IMDb. So like you will absolutely recognize him. He's been in a bajillion things. And then Donna, you'll definitely recognize her because she's been in a lot of things, albeit in smaller parts. And then, like I said, the woman who plays Jackson, Sandra Locke, she's actually in a few things as well, although I didn't immediately recognize her. So, and like I said, that's pretty much the cast. I mean, there's a couple other people that play really small roles, but that's pretty much it.
I just wanted to fact check myself real quick, just because I've just been spouting off crazy bullshit. One, the sleeping bag kill is from Jason 7. And
7, okay. And
Sudden Impact is the fourth movie in Dirty Harry. It goes Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer, Sudden Impact.
Okay, yeah, I think only seen Dirty Harry.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned it. My grandfather was a big Charles Bronson guy,
and
pretty much any like revenge vigilante. I'm just gonna shoot bad guys, or even just people who look different than me. Like that was pretty much the genre that my grandfather was related to, which then obviously bled into the Dirty Harry movies. So I would see bits and pieces of the Dirty Harry movies, at his house or on VHS or whatever, along with the 900, Death Wish movies. But I can't say I've ever sat down and watched any of the Dirty Harry movies, but
Yeah, which is interesting because the whole time I was watching this movie, I wasn't terribly impressed with Seymour Castle's portrayal of George Manning.
He feels like he phoned this one in a little bit,
or just was confused about what was going on.
Could be.
But I was just watching and I was like, man, what if this was Charles Bronson? Because he has a little bit of the Charles Bronson mop top and mustache. And I was like,
well,
this would be wild if it was Charles Bronson.
Well, that's the thing is you could never believe it that it was Charles Bronson, because Charles Bronson would literally just whoop both their asses so fast. The reason why him playing George in this movie made sense is because he's like kind of a little squirrely guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he looks like he weighs about 130 pounds soaking wet. Like it feels reasonable that two women, which they say in this movie they're 15 and 17. I looked it up. The Donna, the actress who played Donna, was I think 25 in 1977. And the one who played Jackson was like in her early 30s, I want to say. But they say they're 15 and 17. They look like grown women.
Right.
But yeah, like you can conceivably see that like two, relatively, petite. Well, one of them very much is Jackson. She's very petite. And then Donna is, I guess, a little bit like more formidable. But it makes like you could believe that they would like could beat his ass.
Yeah,
2-on-1.
They could possibly overpower him.
Charles Bronson, no, it ain't gonna happen. Charles Bronson's gonna be breaking fucking arms, right?
Hey, you dingy broads, get your hands off me! Punch,
double punch at the same time. But anyway, so let's get into this movie because it is fucking batshit, and I spoiler alert, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, same.
I don't know.
This movie rules.
This is a great fucking 1977 Grindhouse feature. Like if that's what you're in the mood for, watch this. You're gonna fucking love it. It's bonkers. There's like, it's just, you can imagine walking into a gross sticky ass theater.
Oh yeah,
filled with smoke. And like there might be somebody jerking off. You know what I mean? Like you can imagine this. That would be a great.
Might be.
Yeah, 100% people jerking off. Yeah. Because there are like full sections that are like softcore porn segments in this. I really, I don't know, not that need to promote their podcast there because they're fucking, wildly famous, but Quentin Tarantino's podcast, which I have come to like a lot. This feels like something he would cover on that podcast.
Yeah, almost guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, I love anything with the Grindhouse releasing title card, that fucking music at the beginning. It's just so cool. And it based on a true story. Love that. Such a Grindhouse fucking low, kind of low rent move. But so this is set in San Francisco, or in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, 1975. You get this intro with this really creepy, like, first of all, a long zoom in on like a still shot of San Francisco. There's a lot of like stock footage of San Francisco in this movie.
Yep.
And some scenes of them driving around the city. But then you get this creepy, like, what I can only describe as like a creepy ragtime kids song, but also British about dad, and like talking about good old dad, always going to take care of me kind of thing. And like with a bunch of kids drawings, it's really off-putting and weird right from the fucking beginning. And it starts with George, who's kind of the protagonist, but he's a shitbag too. So like you don't really feel for him at all. Because first of all, he's like this extremely wealthy, you don't know what he does. But he's this extremely wealthy, middle-aged guy with like this little like, ratty little mustache. And he's got this like extremely fancy, elaborate mansion, fancy cars. Like he's obviously very wealthy, and it's just him having like a fun time with his wife, whose name's Karen, and they're playing croquet. What's it called? Not croquet, not crochet. Crochet is the thing you do with knitting. Like fucking yarn. That's knitting. Croquet. I wrote crochet on here. That's
okay. He's playing crochet. What the hell are you talking about? Hi, Brian. God damn it.
It's playing croquet, guys. Come on. Whatever the game they play in Alice in Wonderland. They're playing that.
But that's how you know he's wealthy and white. Is like that's only wealthy white people have the yard to play croquet in, and
and then they're like, you know, gonna fuck, I guess, but then they get a phone call and their kid's like appendix ruptured or something. I don't know. So his wife has to fly out suddenly because his kids are spending time with their grandparents out of town. She's got to go tend to that. So Karen flies off, you know, to deal with the appendix business. And George is like, I'll hold down the fort. Immediately orders some pizzas, cracks some brews, starts fucking raging. This is how rich George is. He has like an old time phone from the 30s. So like, you know, that is some straight up rich people shit. And you see someone's like creeping out around George's house in the storm. And these two creepy young girls show up asking George, you know, where the Gregorys live, right? And he's like, I don't fucking know what you're talking about. Like I said, he's just pounding, you know, pizza and beers, hanging out, having a good old time. His kid's appendix burst, so he's taking this as an opportunity to have a sweet bachelor weekend. He says, you know, they say, can we come and use your phone? You know, the old, can we stay until our ride comes? Before you know it, you get introduced to Jackson and Donna, and they're getting real flirty, right? And George is like, he's trying to play it straight, but he's definitely playing into the whole thing. He's like, we got to get you some towels, girls. You're really wet. You know, it's like, he's being a real creep.
He's being a creep. It's at this point I started thinking, because I've never heard of this movie and I'd never seen it obviously before.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking, I was like, does Eli Roth need to get sued? Because it's when Donna and Jackson show up in the rain. I was like, this is really similar to that movie Knock Knock. And I was like, does Eli Roth need to get sued? But then I looked it up. Knock Knock is just actually a remake of this movie.
Yeah, so I did look that up. Yeah, so I was like, this is such a familiar trope. And this just feels so Quentin Tarantino, Eli Roth, you know? And so, yeah, I did look up that was essentially a remake of it. But
and then I didn't know, but it goes even further in that, like, so Colleen Camp, who plays Donna in Death Game, she also has a screenwriting credit for the movie. But then in Knock Knock, she has like a cameo appearance. You won't really recognize her because like she's older now. And then she also is like a producer on that film as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like I didn't know how deep it ran because like I had never heard of Death Game before, but like I saw Knock Knock and just like upfront, I don't like that movie. I don't.
I mean, I remember seeing it because like I definitely went through Eli Roth phase where I went and watched a bunch of his movies and stuff. I couldn't tell you much about it besides just like the general plot summary, but
it's the same as this film in that like two women show up, and in that movie it's Keanu Reeves is in the George role and Ana de Armas is one of the women, and just like that, I don't know, that movie just it doesn't hold up to this one, because this one, as we'll get into, you'll see like just how fucking bizarre this movie gets. But like it's funny because that film, in it, Keanu Reeves, the way he gets his money is he's an architect designer, and he designs mostly of those mid-century modern fucking sterile ass houses that everybody's in love with. And it's just funny because that film feels far more sterile, like a mid-century modern, compared to like the weird opulence in this film with the way George, it has like, 15 fucking different stereos that all have a different purpose, and the giant aquarium in the middle that's also a coffee table. Like, just like the wealth is insane in this film, whereas like everything in that film feels pared down and is more sterile, and it's just like and the performances are even blander, and just so like I don't like Knock Knock, but then rewatching this film I was like, or not rewatching, but watching this film I was like, oh, I get why he wanted to remake it, because this film is awesome.
Yeah. It's like in this case, like George's performance is like pretty lackluster in this movie, but serves to, like, by contrast, make the girls' performance even more unhinged, because it is like, I mean, obviously they steal the show, they're like the whole movie, but it's just kind of bonkers. But I could see why you would cast somebody like Keanu Reeves in this, but I also like the idea that, like, George is like kind of looks like a little frogman. Like, he's not an attractive guy. Like, he's not what you would call an attractive guy.
No,
you know what I mean? He's not leading manager. He's not Keanu Reeves attractive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's not George Hamilton in the 70s. Is, you know,
no.
He's just kind of like, he's just a little weird mop top kind of, you know, middle-aged dude. He's not, you know, no one is horny.
Frog.
No one is horny for George.
No, except for Donna, but yeah, it's weird. She's bonkers. So yeah, it's his, coincidentally, it's his 40th birthday. Like, they're giving off real, like, Manson family, like, flirty fishing type vibes, from the, you know, right from the beginning. And then before you know it, they're like, can we go see, you know, see the bathroom? Yeah, sure. Like, he's kind of like relishing and showing off his wealth a little bit.
Right.
And everything, like you said, it's like really tacky, over the top wealth. So like, how do you have a listen, I'm not an interior designer, but how do you have like a 30s era phone and like all this like Victorian looking like crown molding, but then you have a coffee table that's a fish tank?
Yeah.
Like unless you're a Coke dealer, like, which they don't establish he's not, but he kind of gives you like, I would say like movie or record executive vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what you picture him as. But his style is, I'm a Coke dealer who just got money in the last 5 years and has terrible taste.
Right. I mean, again, it's back to like the opulence of today. Everybody has everything that matches, and everything is like clean lines and but like that. And this is just obvious that, like, George is new money. He bought a mansion that it's like, I think the mansion itself is like one of those Teutonic, you know, kind of old style mansions. Yeah,
very Tudor style.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then like the inside is Victorian, you know, molding and everything. And then he has the fish tank, and just like, it's just him buying things that he thinks are neat.
Yeah, like a big giant jacuzzi tub.
Right.
Like, it's borderline Tony Montana.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, he just saw things that he thinks is cool, which is how I would behave if I was rich.
Oh yeah, I'd have a fucking pet alligator, like, just dumb shit, you know, just like white trash with money all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it feels like, and I connected with it.
And that's why George is, I think, my father. But. So before we know it, the girls are nude in the jacuzzi. They start like pulling George's wiener out and like really coming on strong. And George is just like, he's, you know, I think the way they perceive it, it's like weird. It's like, there's a lot of things in this movie that are like problematic, but not in a, like, not problematic, like Weinstein problematic. It's just, this is a Grindhouse fucking feature. You know what I mean? It's meant to be sleazy, but the way they kind of portrayed as like George was powerless, like he's being victimized, you know what I mean, kind of. But, you know, two beautiful, you know, young women come on to you, what are you gonna do, you know what I mean? But it's weird because it turns into just straight like a softcore porn scene.
Yeah, but
it starts out as like the Lifestyles the Rich and Famous music, almost like when they're first starting to like, you know, kiss all over them and be naked and shit. And then it's that type of softcore porn where obviously you're not seeing like penetration or anything, but you're also not really seeing anything that even resembles human sex.
Right.
You're just seeing like people like kiss naked with their eyes closed and then like rub each other and themselves with their hands.
So
it's so weird.
My note on this is, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I know I'm bricked up.
I don't know what this is, but I know what I like. Yeah, I like this.
It's pretty fantastic as far, because again, like you're saying, that the soundtrack starts a little classy, but then quickly descends into that bow chicka wow wow, you know, classic 70s porn music, and then the editing on this is everything is kind of faded and overlapped over top of each other. So like you're seeing a bunch of skin on top of other skin on top,
hands, tits, moaning, just a lot of moaning.
Yeah, which like it's kind of masterful in a way because you see like there was one shot that stuck out to me. Like it's just like the crease that happens like, you know, in the side when you bend at the side. And you see, you see the crease in like Donna's side and George's hands rubbing over it, and it's like, I don't know, like that could be a vagina, maybe.
Yeah, it is basically what they did was whoever edited this has edited softcore porn before and knows how to make things resemble sex, but cannot be pointed at as that sex. You know,
I want to jump back. Before the scene, just quickly, there was a shot I actually really like. It's when it's kind of like in the beginning when Jackson goes off to the bathroom on her own and leaves Donna and George together in the living room. There's just like a really nice shot of George and Donna in a 2-shot, and then they're separated by a lamp, and George is looking straight on at Donna, and Donna is looking at us, the audience. And it's just kind of a nice shot that sets up the dynamic, and that you already know George is, you know, attracted to her and is like being a pervert, and she is not necessarily giving off any vibes per se. And then the lamp also kind of looks like a boner, but but then she crosses the plane and breaks the plane to the lamp, and then you it's kind of like a signal of like, oh yeah, now we're going down, getting downtown.
Yeah. The flirting's over. Now we're playing the music. Now the cinematography and the lighting in this movie are great.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's really well shot. It looks fantastic. And like I said, the lighting, it just sets such a great mood of the like comfy, cozy, they're getting comfortable with each other, and then it's sexy. And then later on, you know, fucking bizarre and creepy and surreal. So it's a well shot movie. It's a well lit movie for sure. After like a really, really extended long softcore bone session in the hot tub, for like really for a long time, like that is like the hallmark of like a real Grindhouse movie, when it's like, we're gonna do this for about 4 times longer than we need to, because again, people came here to jack off. Some people came here to jerk off. You know, and we need to accommodate that section of the audience that's here to jerk off.
And that's like a hallmark of like every Grindhouse film is there's a lot of padding that happens in Grindhouse films, and so like you have a lot of padding of kind of boring, but then you have padding. Well, we can talk about a boring padding scene later on, but like
there is a couple boring ones.
But there you have the padding of like this sex scene goes on forever. But then also, if you think about even just Tarantino's interpretation of a Grindhouse film with Death Proof, that
the lap dance scene and all that,
the lap dance scene, but then the car race scene goes on for fucking ever as well.
So
he's just making these incredibly long scenes of what would you call it? Just gratuitous. Gratuitous is what it is.
Yep, I think so. The thing that Tarantino does so well that makes it not boring is he always picks fucking banger tracks to put over them, and this movie doesn't, so it just gets boring. I mean, that's the difference between doing a Grindhouse movie with a giant budget or no budget. You know? It's different. It's kind of but anyway, after the whole, you know, bone session happens, and George apparently just passes out from, you know, a lustful exhaustion, I guess. You get this because you still don't know at this point what the girl's intentions are. You don't know what they're doing, what they're there for. Like you said, you're definitely getting these kind of Manson family vibes, but you're not necessarily, oh my God, I'm watching Creepshow 3 and this is a punishment movie. I'm sorry. I just saw maybe the worst CGI I've ever seen in a movie.
Sick.
So I'm just going to put that in my back pocket. So you get this candid conversation with Donna telling Jackson that she might be in love with George. And it's she's saying it in a very earnest way, which is really, really weird. And at this point you're like, okay, why are they here? You know, are they trying to blackmail him? Are they trying to grift him in some way? Are they just like crazy, you know, like if this movie was called like Nympho Coed Rampage or something, like it would make people would probably know more about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they don't, you know, because it has a terrible title. But that's kind of what you're getting the feeling of is are they just crazy serial killers or what's going to happen? You don't know. But this is like a weird, like very earnest conversation that happens that kind of throws you off. And I was like, oh, maybe they aren't the antagonists, because I didn't know anything about this movie. George wakes up and the girls are making breakfast. And then this has that thing that I find a lot of Asian horror does really well, but it's this idea of like the early part of the thing that makes you uncomfortable, like for lack of a better term, the horror part of the first part of this movie, or at least this like 15-minute section, is the social horror, like the awkwardness of like George woke up. He's like, damn, I shouldn't have done these things that I did. Now these girls are here. I got to get them the fuck out of my house. They won't leave. They're acting really bizarre. Are they crazy? You know what I mean? Like, should I kick them out? Like they kind of, you know, it's that kind of like social horror almost that happens. And they say, you know, their ride never showed up the night before. They've got all these like sketchy excuses for what's happening.
Right.
But yeah, Donna's getting real clingy all the time, by the way. So she's, you know, big old swinging dick George, you know, he isn't having it. Which again, like I should reiterate, George looks like a fucking salamander with a mustache. And these girls look like models, and he's like, you got to get the fuck out of my house. You know, the girls are just, this is when they start to become kind of like unhinged, like at the breakfast table, they're eating like animals, you know, and they talk about how they're homeless and they're you know living on the road, but then they mention that they have a home the night before, so you really don't know what to believe. The whole time they're eating, they're just acting super bizarre and like laughing like almost like little kids over like stuff that isn't funny, and they're just doing this like unhinged cackling, and George is just like ripping cigs the whole time while they're like playing with their food, and eventually George like snaps and goes, you have the manners of an alley cat, which is like such a fucking sick burn. And then she goes, fuck you, Mac.
Yeah.
Which is a great comeback.
Which is such an of the time comeback too.
Yeah. And then she's like, JK, LOL, you know, we were just kidding. So like it kind of cuts the tension a little bit, but
yeah, like it's in this scene, it gets more progressive, like their behavior. Which is why it's because like it starts with them cooking breakfast and George is like, okay, I'll let them cook breakfast. Like it's just like small concessions on his part of like,
right.
All right, I'll just wait them out and then get rid of them. And like, you know, he's at breakfast, like you said, just ripping cigs, but you can tell it's like an impatient smoking. He's like, get this over with.
He's very nervous.
Yeah, get this over with. I want to get on with my day. And then like, but they are just like you're saying, they're being obnoxious, they're laughing, they're eating, and like even the food they cooked looks like shit. And so like they don't know how to cook, they don't know what they're doing, they're just being obnoxious, they're eating with their hands. And like I have it written down as gummo breakfast, if you remember.
Yeah, what's that kid's name who directed that fucking movie?
Harmony Korine
too. Harmony Korine, yeah. That's pretty much what they're doing. They're just like being gross, and they like laugh and they're behaving like children. Like you look at them, you're like, oh, these two women are in their like late 20s, early 30s, you would guess, but they're acting like they're like 12, you know, which makes the whole like obviously rendezvous that happened the night before like even weirder and more uncomfortable than it already was. So like, you know, everything is being seen through like the harsh light of day now, but they're just acting really, really bizarre. And then George eventually gets loud with them and just basically says, like, you got to get out of my fucking house, blah, blah, blah. And he like chases Donna like upstairs and basically says, like, you got to get the fuck out, get your shit and get the fuck out of here. And then you get this extended shot of like ketchup spilling, like a bottle of ketchup spilling on like the like doily kind of cover on the table.
Yeah.
Where during that, I can only describe, like, you come to find out in a moment what it is, but it's like just this cacophony of different songs playing simultaneously. And it's really effective and really like strangely troubling.
It really is. And like,
yeah,
like when I first watched it, I was like, is that just a still frame of ketchup? But like, you know, you have to look close enough and you can see like it's slowly spilling out. And I don't know how intentional this was, but like you're saying, it's ketchup spilling over like this nice place setting again of like rich people. And it's like, ketchup it's white trash fucking condiment, you know? Was that?
It is, guys. Let's put it out there.
Yeah. But like, was that intentional? Was it intentional to have like, oh, here's the white trash spilling out over the rich and destroying the rich around them? Like, was that like, thought through that well, or were they just like, ketchup, it's making a mess?
Well, I took it as like the symbolism of it being like the, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't put the ketchup back in the bottle kind of thing. Yeah. Like, hey, George, you've made your bed. Now you got to lie in it.
Right.
Like you last night you were big man in control. You were big, rich fucking guy in your mansion, and two, sexy young co-eds show up to your door and you're like, well, what the fuck? Let's do this. And now next day shit's getting real for you, bud, because that's like, there is this like underlying, and they never really come out and say it except for like maybe once Jackson does say like, oh, I mean, we'll get into it, but like Jackson does at one point kind of really explicitly lay out the kind of moral conundrum to him that is obviously heavily suggested the whole time. But there is all of these like very like moral and class related undertones, I guess, that aren't really almost ever explicitly said, but are always, just under the surface. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Donna, you go up there and you find that they're just playing a bunch of songs all at once on all of his various stereos and things like that.
Yeah, Jackson's having a real Swans concert by herself, just fucking noise core by herself.
Yeah, it's so off-putting. Meanwhile, Donna is put on one of Karen's negligees, and George really doesn't dig that. And then that's when the girls are like, specifically call it like, we're jailbait. And then they explain that essentially they are, kind of blackmailing him in some capacity. And also they're like really gaslighting him really hard because they keep saying like, hey, hey, we're 15 and 17 and you're going to jail, and what's your wife going to think? And what's your neighbors going to think in your fancy neighborhood? Huh, motherfucker, all this stuff. But then they'll go like, we're just kidding. We're just joking with you, George. Mm-hmm. So like it eases into it. It's like that, like you said, it's that progressive like derailment. And it's like that progressive thing of like George losing control of the situation that he thought he had full control of slowly, and then it spirals. It's the ketchup, slowly falling out of the, trickling out of the bottle kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, they're doing good cop, bad cop the entire time as well.
That too, right?
With like Jackson's the bad cop, and she's like, "Oh, George, you're going to be in so much trouble. This is it." And like Donna is also playing, she wavers between like, oh yeah, George, you took advantage of me, but also I love you, daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it gets pretty weird, but a couple things happen. The cleaning lady shows up. George has to cover up for that, and then that's when shit really, after the cleaning lady leaves, that's when shit gets really unhinged, and the girls are just like cackling like just psychotic cackles, and they're really laying it out there like, you're going to go to jail, blah, blah, blah. And George calls their bluff and attempts to call the cops. And then they agree to leave. And then they're like, well, are you going to give us a ride? So he gives them a ride to the bus station. And then he goes for some groceries. And the whole time in the car, they have this, like I said, this insane way of acting that they're like bullying him, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like they just feel like they are like high school girls intensely bullying a 40-year-old man, a 40-year-old salamander man. And they're just like constantly laughing and teasing him. And he just like doesn't know how to take it. And he's feeling like obviously very vulnerable and like it's weird. Like obviously George has established himself as like a piece of shit, but you're feeling, I wouldn't say you're feeling bad for George, but you're feeling very anxious for George,
right?
Through the whole thing.
Yeah, because it's obviously just it's total powerlessness of like a rational person, because like he has no rational answer for what happens next. Like the most, an irrational person would just kill these women and try to bury them. That's what a rational person would do, because that's the only way out.
Yeah, and that's what I kept thinking was going to happen, is George is going to snap, kill them, and then it's George hiding that from his family or whatever, but that's not the direction it goes. He drops him off the bus station. Like I said, he goes to the store, like, they suggest that he doesn't come straight home. Like he comes back with a bag of groceries or whatever. And he calls his wife, talks to his kids. His family's coming home tomorrow.
I think this is another great shot too, is like, because you don't actually see him on the phone with his family. What you see is kind of a wide panning scape of San Francisco, but it's like it's covered in fog, and it's like I think it's either early morning or late day, one of the two, but like I
think it's early morning because they just woke up and all that.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of light. It's not a bright shot that you're seeing, and so like it's just there's an ominousness to the shot that you're seeing of like everything's covered in fog, and so it's a nice piece of stock footage if that's what it is, or they really filmed something good, one of the two.
Yeah. The nice thing is that, and that happens like every day in San Francisco. Like in the morning, it's always cold and then by like the afternoon, all that like fog, like burns off. But yeah, it definitely, because George is feeling like, oh, he's got everything under control now. He shows up back at home and he sees that someone is like, he kind of sees out of the corner of his eye, someone like hiding upstairs. He runs upstairs. Long story short, the girls beat him back to his house. And they jump him, mace him, and then I guess like he falls and hits his head and gets knocked out, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just like a concession of like we don't know what to do.
Yeah, I wrote they maced him into unconsciousness. I guess I don't know.
George is such a wuss. Like he's so
he's just so wafy and like this little salamander man. You mace him and he passes out for 3 hours.
This is before rich people really got addicted to like doing testosterone and CrossFit. So
yeah, this is when rich people were really wimpy. But anyway, they jump him, they tie him to the bed, and then they just start like running amok in the house at this point. Like, and this is where you really start to see their like really intense psychosis. And Donna's got some like really intensely deep-seated daddy issues. And there's like a really uncomfortable scene about her talking about how she's putting him in the space of like, I guess, her stepfather, which she seduced at some point in her childhood. And she tries to like blow him, but then she beats the shit out of him. And then she's like alternating between laughing hysterically and crying hysterically. It's like, it's a really pretty effective performance and really just, like I said, just unhinged,
Yeah.
But you keep getting that like wild intro song that like British ragtime kids song, like it just keeps coming back around,
which has like 37 verses to it.
Oh my God, it keeps going. It's like the wheels on the bus. Yeah. And then they keep going, like they're just like, they're playing dress up for like 10 minutes. This is one of those scenes that's like just padding that goes on way too long. Although it is not one of the more boring ones. Like it actually is kind of entertaining. They're like dressing up and being silly,
right?
But it still feels like padding.
It's one of those really weird conflicting scenes that I think is the reason why there's so much like step porn on Pornhub is because
yeah,
like you have this really uncomfortable, unpleasant scene with Donna, you know, telling George, you know, like what she did to her stepdad, supposedly, you know, you don't even know if that's the truth is the thing is like, you don't know what they're saying is the truth. But then it cuts to them playing fucking dress up and Donna's jumping on the bed and like her tits are out and like her tits are huge. And you're like, damn.
Yeah. She's got big monster mommy milkers and she's like flopping them around.
Right, you're like,
and
damn, that's hot. But what just happened wasn't. And
none of this. Yeah. I'm getting an inside boner. Like it's going the other way inside of me. Which is a thing that can happen, guys. It's a medical condition.
If you think you're having an inside boner, contact your primary care physician.
If your inside boner lasts more than 3 hours. But yeah, George, he does manage to get loose at some point as they're like dragging him down the steps. And then this scuffle ensues. And then Jackson just gives him the old, you know, vase to the dome and just splits his wig with the fucking vase. And then they just pour a bunch of milk and eggs and tomatoes and shit on him from the second floor.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre scene.
Yeah, it's totally bizarre, but it like you love it. And this, again, I can't stress enough how much more feral Jackson and Donna are compared to the two women in Knock Knock. Knock Knock, it feels much more devious and planned. And like, did you ever see the movie Hard Candy? With
No, never mind. I was thinking of Jawbreakers when you said Hard Candy.
Yeah, no, Hard Candy was with Elliot Page, and it's basically it's kind of similar. It's like they seduce basically like a pedophile, and then
I think I have seen this, but I think I'm getting scenes mixed up with like Kick-Ass or whatever, that movie.
Sure, maybe
with Dwight Schrute in it and
you mean anyway.
Super. Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting that mixed up with another movie I'm getting mixed up. So I'm all fucked up.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, but yeah, Hard Candy, like in that performance, Elliot Page is much more like devious and thought out and planned through. And which is what Knock Knock feels like. It feels like they're planning through. This film is, and I have it written down, this film feels like the dinner scene at Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
It's just constant screaming and laughing and messes and breaking shit and carrying on. And yeah, it's insane.
Everything they're doing is strictly impulsive. There's nothing planned. There's no criminal masterminds here. It's just them acting like deranged, you know, adult children. Yeah. And then after they throw all that shit on him, like cover him in flour and milk and eggs and tomatoes and all type of stuff, they just like clean him up. And then Donna sucks his toes while he's tied to the fireplace. Like it's real weird. And then Donna ordered groceries ? Like, and Jackson's like, why? She's like, well, because we used all the groceries, dumping them on him, and we're gonna eat.
Yeah,
like Don is obviously fucking unhinged. He is even more like they both are, but Don is like the more childlike one, where like Jackson is a little bit more the brains of the operation.
You can even see it in the way that they've kind of settled on a dress at one point. Jackson she's wearing George's formal wear, but she's
like a tuxedo. Yeah,
but she's wearing like a jacket and a top hat, and so she kind of like she looks like a circus ringmaster is what she looks like.
She does. Yeah, she's wearing like the vest and like the cummerbund, but with no shirt underneath it. And then she's wearing the jacket with the tails and top hat. She's got a cane, you know, the whole thing. And then Donna's got like a ball gown on, you know, for a good portion of it. But yeah, they bring in the grocery delivery boy, and they pretty quickly just brain him with a fire poker because George gets the gag out of his mouth and yells, and then they just crack his head with a fire poker, and then they put him in the fish tank coffee table so he drowns.
Yeah. This was the more unbelievable part. Like, I can kind of believe that they can drag down Salamander George, but like this grocery delivery boy is young and big, and like there's a good couple minutes of them just like crawling all over him, like they're pulling at him, and like rather than him braining either of those women, he's trying to reach George, who's yelling for help. And it's like, if somebody's yelling for help and then two other people are all over you, you don't make the connection. It's like, oh wait, he needs help from these people. I should stop these people from crawling and, impeding me.
As an ex-pizza delivery boy who's been in a couple of weird situations, if two young women just started just like hanging on me, I'm going to throw them across the room and run out of the room and turn and haul ass out of that room. But they they tend to they are able to subdue him, and like I said, they brain him with a poker, like, but he's in the other room when that happens. Like, they struggle for a while. It is hard.
I just don't believe that he wouldn't give them the coconut crush and just bonk their heads together. Sorry, I just don't. It's unbelievable to me. I'm taken out of the film.
Jackson, I'm not saying that like somebody can't be, but like 70s, in the 70s, somebody who is Jackson looks like she's about 100 pounds soaking wet. Like, she's not gonna, like I said, it's a little who knows what would happen in that situation, but it seems a little unbelievable. But overall, the him in there, it's like a pretty effective scene. Like, at this point, they're doing this like green light thing that is really a big part of it throughout the rest of the movie, where, or at least the night scenes where they have this, like, everything has this kind of green glow, and, you see his head, like, of the kid, like, in the blood going into the tank, and then he, the bubbles stop coming out, and it's pretty effective.
It's pretty well motivated too, because if you think about, like, these two girls have been just hitting this house like a tornado and like destroying all the lamps and everything. So like, that's why like the backgrounds are all dark, because they've broken all the lamps. And you even see the one lamp above George's head is actually like a table lamp that's been turned over. It's upside down, hanging above his head. And then you have this motivated lighting, this motivated green lighting coming out of, this weird algae table fish tank thing that only exists in 1975.
Right, it only exists in George's house. But I guess the moral of the story is just be bigger, so two teenage girls can't kidnap you.
Pretty much.
That's where I took from this. But they the whole scene of them, like, they do this whole like role playing court proceedings thing goes on for quite a while. And then this is really where you get the thing that's like the first like pointed like morality, the whole morality story thing, where Jackson's kind of like, basically for a minute you think she's going to go really deep down, and I think it's good that she doesn't, but ultimately it's her basically saying, hey, you brought this on yourself, kind of thing. Like, almost like they're just like an act of nature kind of thing. The girls are. Yeah. But they decide in their fake court proceedings that they're going to, George is guilty and they're going to kill him at dawn. So to celebrate that, Donna throws a cat through a window, and then they basically are, have this hourglass, because that's, again, what a tacky rich person would have, is like this giant hourglass, and they keep flipping it over, saying like 6 hours till we're going to kill you, 5 hours till we're going to kill you, 4 hours till we're going to kill you. And they've tied him up with what looks like loofahs. So like, it seems like he's going to be able to get out of it. But then Donna's like, we should fuck before we kill you. And she unties him. So you're like, Donna's unhinged. Like, she's going to be the one that's going to be the downfall. But then when she lets him go, Donna George shoves Donna, but then again, Jackson has this unlimited supply of vases and she's deadly accurate with them. So she cracks him again with a vase and splits his dome open. And then they act like that was the plan.
Yeah, it's literally Jackson's special move is just, vase attack. But
yeah,
like if she was a Pokemon,
that's her Hadouken.
Yeah, if she was a Pokemon, she would come with vase attack as like a standard. But yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of like they're, because I mean, like you're saying, the trial scene goes for a long time, and then they taunt him for a while, and like they even in that kind of in between taunting before George gets let go, Donna's outside the house in the rain, like mushing her tits on the window. That's great. And she's like, 2 hours, buddy. Yeah, 2 hours. Then you got to get it. And then but this scene where,
and I do want to reiterate how big and lovely Donna's boobs are. They really are something special.
Just a quick note about that. I went on to look because she looked familiar to me. And I was looking through her credits, and where I recognized her from was the Redux version of Apocalypse Now. She actually plays one of the Playboy Playmates that comes in for the USO show.
Okay.
And then the guys on Willard's boat wind up fucking a lot of the Playmates upstream in the Redux version, and that's where you can see her. But I was like, I
immediately recognized. I Clue. I mean, that's I've seen that movie so many freaking times. I immediately associated with that. But
yeah. But anyway, what I was saying about like this plot of like she's gonna seduce him again, and like I don't know what that's testing is like. Is it a test to get him to try to have sex with her again to prove for certain that he's just a slime willing to do anything to get out of get out of being killed, or I don't know. And the fact that he didn't just bash her head against the brick fireplace is like, well, you're a fool.
Well, and the weird thing about it is they don't seem to have much rhyme or reason to anything they do. Mm-mm. So I find it kind of hard to believe that it's a test. But after they do it, one of them, I don't remember who, says basically like, they always take the bait, don't they? Or something like that. So like it was but they're always just like playing tricks. Like they're just bored. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they're always just trying to entertain themselves. So, but like, why would Donna put herself in harm's way? But she doesn't care. They're obviously fucking maniacs.
Yeah. It's hard to tell if they how motivated this is. And again, it's like, it's comparing it to Knock Knock, where they're much more devious and like, it seems more thought out what they're up to. And that like, this is like what they're doing is just a morality test always. So it could be just like the morality test comes at the very beginning where, whether or not you choose to have sex with the sirens, do you have sex with the sirens? Okay, well then now you have to go through this torment. If not, maybe they leave, maybe they don't. That's the thing. You don't know what happens when you rebuff them and say, get your clothes on and get out.
Yeah, right. Or you mace them.
Right. These women came into my house and got naked, so I maced them.
They got naked, so I pepper sprayed them. If I had a nickel for every time I had to do that.
Get out of here. Get out of here, harlots. Stop trying to trick me.
Get out. You get out of here.
Stop trying to tempt me.
Succubi. So then there's this like extended scene of Donna and Jackson sitting across from each other, eating food in a silly way, and then fucking each other.
This was the gratuitous scene I was talking about that was boring, because also you can just tell it's like it's edited wrong, because like the way their makeup and everything is from previous in the film, whereas like the last time we just saw them in the scene before, like Donna's makeup is smeared all over her face, like she's almost in blackface, the way she smeared her eyeshadow all over her cheeks and everything. And like Jackson is adopted some new line art or whatever, but this is like from previous, where they're just, we're gonna do food things for a bit, and it's like whatever.
It seemed like a weird place to put it in, and it was 100% padding, and this is the first time in the movie, you know, aside from like the gratuitous softcore sex earlier, where I was just like, a lot of time has passed without anything really happening at this point. Right. But you know, like I said, Donna, this is when Donna's outside doing the 2 more hours thing with her big boobs outside. Like she's outside doing it through the bay window, and like Jackson thinks it's hilarious. They just feel like kids doing dumb shit at a sleepover, but they're like torturing somebody.
Yeah.
It's so they wake him up by just smashing shit and going like, "Wake up, George, it's time to kill you." And they've got a cleaver, like a big ass fucking butcher's cleaver. And they act like they're going to chop his head off. And they do this big like countdown thing to cutting his head off. And then they don't. And then George just like lays there and like whimpers like a bitch. And then they just go JK and run out the door. Literally.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were just kidding. Bye, George. And they just run out the door. And George is like I said, just laying there whimpering as the girls literally just walk out the front door. And they're just, for the next couple of minutes, just strolling down the street. One of them's wearing a ball gown. The other one's wearing a tuxedo. And they're just like happy-go-lucky, just joking and grab-assing down the street. And then an SPCA van comes out of nowhere and squashes them both credits.
Yeah.
It's so bonkers.
It's so insane.
Why an SPCA van? And like, and they made it very, very evident that was a very intentional choice, because not only does it say in big giant like poorly painted letters, amateur painted letters, SPCA on the side of their van, but also they have like, it's like a freeze frame ending of the girls being hit by the van, and they have like the sound of dogs barking.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, I mean, so I think, and this goes to the standard of endings are hard.
Yeah.
Endings are hard to write, but I think so. They wanted to end on maybe something of a silly up note or something where these women get their comeuppance, because it's the 70s. You can't really just have a film, you know, end with George wallowing in the even worse fate, you know, the fate that's worse than death. You know, he has to like wallow with himself and then explain to his wife why his house is destroyed, why he's tied up, you know, why the cat is through a window and dead.
I forgot the cat was just such an afterthought. Why, you know, he ate so much pizza by himself.
Why is there eggs and tomato all over the floor? Like, why any of this? Why are my fucking clothes out of my closet and all over the ground? Why does it smell like strange pussy in here? Why any of it? Like, our Shea Lounge in the office smells like pussy. Why? So he has to.
Why, George?
Yeah,
why?
So like, that's a terrible fate for him, and you know, a fate worse than death. But you can't end the film on that. So they do the SPCA gag because Donna killed the cat and they killed all the fish.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess it could be the fact that they killed the pets.
Yeah, it's I think it's literally just a stupid joke about the fact that they killed the animals. That's why they get punished.
Like George, you know, them doing all the things they did to George, not that's not important, but the fact that they hurt the animals, that's why they get run down.
That's all it is. Yeah, I think it's just that funny little bit of brilliance of like, had they just kept it to George, it's okay, but they killed the cat and killed the fish, and like, nope.
It's almost like a weird fourth wall breaking thing a little bit.
It totally is, because like, you know, the music has reverted back to that fucking daddy song. And but the van comes out of fucking nowhere, and like you said,
it's even like sped up.
It's sped up footage.
The whole thing happens in honestly half a second.
It's so surprising.
It's so fast.
It's so surprising. I couldn't have predicted it. You literally can't predict it. It's like a great jump scare ending because you don't know that's going to happen. And then it's the sound of dogs over the credits. And it's like, all right.
Park. It is so silly and fun and dumb and wild.
Yeah.
And if you have not seen Death Game 1977, 1,000% worth a watch. This is when I put on a movie from 1977, this is exactly what I want. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
So in any case, guys, that is Death Game 1977. It is currently streaming on Shudder. It's probably some other places, but just another excuse to go out there. Hey, Shudder, sponsor us. We talk about your fucking movies all the time. Not that it's a Shudder exclusive or anything, but it is. It's a cool movie, and I don't know where else it's streaming. So. All right, guys, don't forget two things. One, join us next week as we do our good scenes in bad movies episode. And as a reminder, if you want to watch the movies that we're going to talk about, or we're going to talk about specific scenes from these movies, go watch Holidays from 2016. That's going to be Anthony, our guest from They Call This a Movie, who's going to join us next week. He's going to talk about that movie. Steve's going to just get himself an 8-ball, plop down, and rip through Maximum Overdrive from, did we ever establish 1987, 1986?
87, like
1985, maybe? Yeah, something like that. Where trucks destroy everything. And then I am going to give you a little M. Night Shyamalan. We're going to talk about 2008's The Happening. So go check those out. Join us next week as we talk about some scenes in those movies. And then also, don't forget, go on the old Patreon. Halloween, it's patreon.com/Halloween is forever. And if you get over there on that rascal tier at $5 a month, you can hear just recently released our very first episode of our Patreon exclusive podcast, Family is Forever, where Steve makes me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies once a month. And we're going to talk about those. So I hate it. Anything else?
Nah, man, that's it. We're doing pretty good.
All's well. All's well that ends. All's well that ends well, guys. All right. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Pizza Boy who gets stuck in an aquarium.
Could be stuck in worse places if you're George. I don't know what I meant by that. All right, bye.
You know what? No, wait. I did have one thing. Don't end this episode.
All right, go ahead.
I had one note I didn't get to. And this note was, if there was a remake of Death Game in the 90s starring Jennifer Connelly, I would have ripped my dick off. How much I pounded off to it.
And on that note, guys, see ya. Bye.